through the canyons. BYU football taking names in 2020. The Cougars have bulldozed and bludgeoned their first three opponents. No one in college football has been more dominant through the first three games. ESPN College Football brought to you by Sling TV with Tom Luganbill and Ish Schropp here in Charlotte. Taylor McGregor down in the field at a still empty Lavelle Edwards Stadium. UTSA, the Roadrunners in town, and they'll take on a team that, again, has been flat out dominant in the early season. BYU beating its opponents by an average of 41 points per game, offensively unstoppable.
Anish, it's almost looked effortless, and at times it has been. Almost 600 yards per game, almost 50 points per game.
And defensively, only giving up 8 points per game. They are number one in the country in total defense and total offense. BYU won the toss. They will receive, and momentarily we will get to see Zach Wilson and this explosive Cougar offense. BYU ranked number 15 in the country, highest AP ranking since 2009. A lot has been made about the early season schedule, but Luke, you've turned on the film. They passed the eye test.
They do pass the eye test. They are for real, and what a treat it's going to be to see this offense today.
And the Cougars will bring it out across the 25-yard line. And we get our first chance to see Zach Wilson, the junior quarterback. He has made a leap from last year to this year that reminds you of what Joe Burrow did from 2018 to 2019 at LSU.
It really does. I mean, he's kind of come out of nowhere, and a lot of the reason for that is he's healthy. He's recovered from a shoulder injury, recovered from a thumb injury, and you see that 11 touchdowns responsible for. He also only has 11 incompletions through the first 3 weeks. 11 touchdowns and 11 incompletions. Remarkable.
Leading the nation in completion percentage, second in passer rating. And on first down, he goes out of the backfield to Gunnar Romney, who's got 3 straight 100-yard games and a first down pickup for Romney. When you turn on the tape, what do you see from Zach Wilson?
I see an ultra-accurate player, and innately accurate. It just happens for him. Look at how the timing and the relationship between Dax Milne and the release of this football and then the tight window in which he fits it in. That can't happen unless he's on time, and he will make routine throws like that throughout the day, off balance, on platform, and with different arm angles.
24 out of 26 last week. 2 for 2 today. Dax Milne deep into UTSA territory. The most impressive part about his high completion percentage, he's not dinking and dunking on bubble screens. He's throwing it downfield.
Yeah, this is a great navigation of the pocket. He keeps his eyes downfield, and look at where he anticipates that throw. He barely looked at him. It was very Patrick Mahomes-like in the sense where he's navigating and he's moving, and all of a sudden the ball comes out of his hand and it's going in a direction that his head is actually not looking.
People at home already saying, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, hey, I'll quantify it. I'll tell you right now. A lot of similar traits in style and substance in terms of how Zach Wilson's playing.
Back to the air. Wilson has Neil Pau'u. He lost the football. It's on the ground. And did he recover, or does UTSA have it? A lot of white shirts in that pile with Pau'u. The Roadrunners, 9 takeaways already in 4 games. That is good for 3rd nationally. And the Roadrunners take it away early.
Well, if you want to get this BYU offense off schedule, take the ball away from him. I mean, what a tremendous play.
By BYU, recovered by UTSA. First down.
Corey Mayfield right here, the big corner, comes and just does a nice job of attacking the ball with his left hand, and you see all the white jerseys, all the Roadrunners. Meet, get into the football. And this is a pretty good football team. This is a better team than I think people thought was going to come in to the season in 2020 under head coach Jeff Traylor. They have been opportunistic. They've created a lot of turnovers, and now it's time for this man, Frank Harris, to get this offense on track.
Harris back in the starting lineup at quarterback after missing last week's game. Sprained his knee a few weeks ago against Middle Tennessee. And you're watching Sincere McCormick, the nation's leading rusher, bulldoze his way for a 23-yard gain. But we are told there is a flag on the field. Tom Lugan, Bill, and I in Charlotte. Taylor McGregor, we'll hear from her shortly.
No foul
down on the field.
For illegal substitution. There was 11 men on defense. First down is the result of the play. UTSA.
Well, somebody's been working on the arms during the pandemic.
He certainly has.
That's the Hockley program.
Yeah, he's kept himself busy. That was a great way to start off this offensive drive on the ground against what is a vaunted BYU defensive front.
Here's Frank Harris, the southpaw. Throwing downfield, tight window, and he's got Joshua Cephas, who's been his go-to receiver this year.
I think this is smart. Barry Lunny, the offensive coordinator at UTSA, moving the pocket and changing the launch point for Frank Harris, because Frank Harris is a true dual threat. And when you do that, if something's not there, you can always count on him to take off and run and get positive yards.
Here is McCormick, the Conference USA Freshman of the Year, and into BYU territory. Defensively, Tom, from BYU, we're going to see a three-man front. So far in their first 3 games, they haven't had to blitz a lot, and they're still getting pressure on the QB.
They have. This three-man front led by big number 95. You're going to see him over the center. Big Tonga. Now they're going to shift over. He's going to play over in the tackle spot. He is a load to handle. And you're right, they've got pressure all season long with a 3- and 4-man front.
And there is McCormick with a strong run. It sets up 3rd and about 4. Sincere McCormick. 150 yards last week in a loss to UAB, and you look at their 3-1 record, the Roadrunners. Last week was a winnable game. They were playing their 3rd-string quarterback, Josh Atkins, who started in place of Frank Harris, hurt on the first play. Jordan Weeks came in, really struggled, and they were still in that game until the very end. Could be a free play. Harris launches downfield, and incomplete for Cephas.
See, this is where no crowd in empty venues really helps you with the hard count. You can utilize it. You can really.
Offside, number 95, defense. That 5-yard penalty will result in a first down.
And this will really help get that defensive front maybe a little bit more hesitant. Maybe they're not going to, jump the gun, and then that's going to lessen the pass rush. So I love the plan early here for UTSA offensively. They've got a nice beat on what they want to do.
On the ground once again, McCormick for a short gain, and we check in for the first time with Taylor McGregor.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, you mentioned Frank Harris missing last week's game with a knee injury. This team really been plagued with injuries to their quarterbacks so far. Through 4 games, they've used 4 different guys. And coming into the day, today, it was still unsure who was going to be the starter. Coach told us that if Harris wasn't 100%, they were not going to use him. When I spoke to Harris on Tuesday, he did say he was 100% though. So he's been working really hard, a lot of blood flow restriction training to make sure that he is 100% ready to go today. And that seems to be the case.
He has a lengthy injury history going back to high school. We'll hear from Scott Campbell.
Number 92, defense in the neutral zone, causing an offensive reaction. 5-yard penalty, still second down. 2
offside penalties already on BYU, and back to Harris. Tore his lefty ACL as a high school senior, redshirted his first year with UTSA, rehabbing from that injury. Was in line to be the starter in 2018, tore his right ACL in the spring game. A shoulder injury ended his season early last year, and then a sprained knee a couple of weeks ago against Middle Tennessee, but back in the lineup after missing just 1 game. Harris rolling to his left. And that's intercepted by Troy Warner. He threw it up in the air in no man's land, and Warner with an interception now in back-to-back games.
Rolling on the field, interception, BYU, first down.
And that's what you're worried about. If you are Jeff Traylor, the head coach at UTSA, you're concerned about his ability to throw the football downfield, and not a mistake you want to see early on in this game on the road.
On the last play. It was a Frank Harris interception. Tom Lugan, Bill, what is he thinking?
I do not know what he's thinking. The read should be the clear out down the sideline, down to the flat route with the fullback, and then the tight end, 87, Gavin Sharp, is who he should have come back to. And not only did he make a poor decision, it was a very poorly thrown football. And so instead of capitalizing on the turnover, from BYU on the previous possession. You give it right back to this offense that is literally playing lights out, has been unconscious through the first 3 weeks of college football.
Both teams trading turnovers here in the first 4 minutes, and BYU back to work inside its own 10 after the Warner interception. First run play, it's Tyler Algier, and that's what he does so well. The first guy never seems to bring him down. It's a big reason he's averaging 8 yards a carry.
Former walk-on actually moved over to the offensive side after they had some injuries in the backfield for BYU. And listen, BYU's run game is founded upon toughness and physicality at the point of attack. Algier, Katoa, the group that you're going to see today, they might not be flashy, but they're always going to move the pile, and they're always going to fall forward. Find yourself on a 2nd and 1 as a result.
And play action could be in play now for BYU. Wilson gets rid of it quickly, and he's got Isaac Rex, his big tight end. This team lost its best pass catcher at Matt Bushman at tight end.
Yep.
It's now tight end by committee, that unit led by Rex.
And that's just fine with this BYU coaching staff because the loss of Bushman led to the next man up mentality, and I think they know more about their tight end room than they would have had Bushman not gone down to injury. And once again, Zach Wilson, how do you rush him, Anish? The ball comes out of his hand so fast that you can't get to him.
He is 4 for 4 on the season, still only 11 incompletions all year. And that's Carter Wheat, another tight end, big number 96, rumbling for a big game. It just seems Zach Wilson in this offense is playing 5 seconds ahead of the defense.
Absolutely they are, and everything they seem to touch turns to gold. Zach Wilson, what you're going to see from him today is his ability to not only change arm angles to suit the throw. We saw that on the throw back across his body on the first drive, but also the ability to change ball speeds depending on the throw. Display touch, display power, dropping in over the top into the basket. 5 for 5 for 100 yards is essentially a reflection of what he's been all season long.
100 yards already, less than 6 minutes into the game. Wilson pumps, steps up, buys time, and a rare incompletion as he tried to shovel it to an open Carter Wheat.
You know, the interesting thing on that play was how good he was with his fundamentals and his offhand, which would be his left hand, because as he was getting flushed and rushed, UTSA is applying the pressure, and he pulls the ball tight to his chest to make sure the ball doesn't get swiped out of his hand from the opposing defender.
BYU still missing a couple of key pieces on the offensive line. Center James Empey did not play last week. He did not start today. Algier has to cover that one up. A little sloppy early. Algier, Powell lost a fumble. Meanwhile, Tristan Hodge, the starting right guard who has not played since the opener because of COVID, still out. They hope to get him back next week for Houston.
Yeah, and the experience level, again, that you're lacking when you lose guys up front affects you. But this is such a cohesive group that's played so much football. Even their reserves, they're all older. They've all redshirted. They've been around the program for years, so they're a little bit of a plug-and-play team right now in the offensive line, and they are big and physical.
BYU better than 50% on third down through the first 3 games. Algier motions out. Screen pass goes to Tyler Algier. Little stutter step, and he's going to be well shy of the marker, driven out by a horde of road runners. And it's 4th down for BYU.
I'll tell you right now, I'd go for this. If I'm Jeff Grimes, the offensive coordinator, Kalani Sitake, the head coach, I love this call. They're in control of the game. It's clear UTSA is going to have some issues through the air throwing the football today. I like this call.
And how many net yards would you get on a punt from this end of the field?
No question.
Wilson backpedaling, chased, throws on the run, downfield, incomplete. That was Corey Mayfield Jr. again on the coverage against Gunnar Romney. Mayfield has made 2 big plays early in this game, a forced fumble and a big PBU to end that BYU drive.
Is presented by Sling TV, the smart choice for live TV, and in part by Geico. Happy Geico-ween. You could save even more by bundling home and car insurance.
BYU mascot Cosmo, known for his daring do. At halftime today, he's going to rollerblade down the stadium seats and do a backflip off of a ramp. We will show that to you in the second half.
I'm just telling you right now, in a non-COVID year and I was still on the road, I would be in that bubble. I can promise you that.
lot of us are in bubbles.
Yeah.
Speed option. Frank Harris is taken down by Isaiah Kaufusi.
You know, one thing to note about this offense for UTSA, a week ago versus UAB on the road, Josh Atkins, he was the best passer of the quarterback carousel they've had. And when he went down, it dramatically affected the offensive game plan. Now, with Harris, you've got a runner first, passer second, but he's almost just as difficult to defend because you've got to account for his legs on every snap.
There is McCormick. You got to account for him, the nation's leading rusher into BYU territory. Kaufusi again on the stop. The coaches were telling us with Frank Harris, his goal is to try to get to the outside and get to the perimeter. And as you mentioned, far more dangerous with his legs than his arm at this point. Screen pass. And Zachary Franklin tackled immediately by Micah Harper.
And BYU defensively is going to say, do that all day, UTSA. We're going to rush 3 or 4. We're going to drop 7 or 8. And the goal is to keep the ball in front of us, come up and tackle in space. As long as guys aren't running by us, BYU is in good shape on defense.
Harris down the seam and completes. And slow to get up, the tight end Gavin Sharp, his 4th catch of the year.
Well, this time he finds 87 down the seam right here, and this is a really well-timed throw because that's got to get over linebacker level but be dropped in prior to the safety. Accurate throw, really something we haven't seen a lot of from Frank Harris to this point. He's been run, 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 make plays happen. We see Sharp banged up there, but really a nice play through the air from Frank Harris.
6'5" junior. Harris again going to the screen game, and that is a forward pass, incomplete.
Rolling on the field, incomplete forward pass, 2nd down.
Jalon Williams, the Houston transfer, the target.
Jeff Traylor in his first year here at UTSA. I think the future is bright. They've got a lot of good young players playing with some true freshmen. They've got some upperclassmen that have bought in what their process is. We'll get into that a little bit too throughout the broadcast, Anish, but it seems to be a team that plays well together.
First-year head coach. Given the offseason that we've had, no small wonder this team is 3-1. There's Brennan Dingle. They'll use him on those fly sweeps. Speedy senior out of Baltimore, 3rd down.
No, they've given BYU an awful lot of looks. They've given them formations, different motion shifts. We've seen the jet sweep. We've seen them move the quarterback. That's a lot in first 2 drives for BYU now that has to account for an awful lot of different looks they're seeing.
Traylor's got some creativity. Former high school football coach for a long time in the state of Texas.
Very successful.
Has a lot of great relationships in the state. They want to build a wall around San Antonio. BYU bringing pressure. It's Kaufusi. Harris, tough throw. And Dingle makes the catch, and he's got a 1st down.
Rolling on the field is a catch for a 1st down.
Well, Nish, I don't think there's any question he caught it. The question is whether or not he was able to drag 1 foot in bounds. If I'm UTSA, I'm snapping this ball immediately.
I don't know, Tom. It looked like he left the ground to make that catch.
He did. His knee hit the ground before he actually caught the football, then came up and caught the football.
Rolling on the field is a catch for a 1st down. Previous play is under further review.
I can honestly say, Anish, I don't know if I've ever seen anything quite like that. He hits the ground, but the ball hasn't come to him yet. And as he comes up, he makes the catch and falls out of bounds.
Yeah, he catches it off the body bounce.
He does.
And now he's airborne when he's got the ball and he lands out of bounds. That's going to be an easy overturn.
It's a shame that he didn't drag his foot instead of allowing the knee to hit right there. And obviously it couldn't be helped. It's a bang-bang play. He's doing everything he can, and he makes a spectacular catch. Brennan Dingle, number 6 there, he's one of what I think is a really good group of wide receivers. Josh Cephas, Tyke Ogle-Kellogg's another one that's going to be playing in this group today. So lots of targets for Frank Harris. And right now, you see Dingle, he realizes it. He's caught the ball, but he's not in bounds.
So why is this replay taking so long?
I have no idea.
I mean, that kind of captures it, doesn't it? And Dingle's expression says it all. He probably saw it off the Jumbotron.
He just reviewed it himself.
And that's a drive changer. Instead of a first down, that'll mean fourth down and a decision for Jeff Traylor.
No question.
After review, it's an incomplete pass. It's going to be 4th and 4 from the 22-yard line.
They've got a great kicker, though, in Hunter Duplessis, who has made 18 consecutive field goals, the longest active streak in the FBS. And I hope I didn't do it to him.
You said it, not me.
Started his career 0 for 2, has not missed since. Lucas Dean, the punter, to hold. He is immune to broadcaster jinx. 19 straight for Duplessis. The Roadrunners, meep on the board first. First time this season, you get a look at a masked Jeff Traylor, head coach for UTSA in his first season. They didn't really have spring ball, so they treated fall camp like spring ball. They treated the first 4 games as fall camp, trying to establish an identity, and they feel pretty good where they are, all things considered. Pandemic, new coaching staff going into these last 8 games.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the first probably 4 weeks, as you referenced, of the season as they treated it at training camp, is trying to figure out where do the pieces of the puzzle fit, moving guys around at different positions, cross-training, and they've done a really nice job of transitioning into a 3-1 record.
And for the first time today, we check in with Kevin Connors in the studio.
Anish, good afternoon. This studio update brought to you by Rocket Mortgage. Red extra point pending. It's a 1-point Texas lead. Anish?
That is a true professional, and Kevin Connors. His Yankees lose last night. Can't even tell from his voice. Zach Wilson steps up, shovels it ahead. You said it earlier, not me. That's Mason Wake. You said he's got a little Mahomes in him. We saw it there.
He just finds ways to get rid of the football. Sometimes it's sidearms, sometimes it's a shovel, sometimes it's over the top. It all depends on what's going on around him. He's got tremendous instincts for the pocket and an innate ability to keep his eyes downfield under duress. And you saw it right there. I mean, those aren't X's and O's plays. Those are things that you can't teach.
He told us yesterday he practices those throws. He practices being off balance, being in positions where his body's going one way. So the stuff that you see in games, it looks like he's making it up as he goes along, but that's rehearsed.
Yep, there's no question.
Timeout, BYU, first and a half, 30 seconds.
Timeout by Kalani Sitake. Anish Shroff, Tom Luganbill here in our Charlotte studio. Taylor McGregor down on the field in beautiful Provo.
You see offensive coordinator there, the white shirt and the hat and the mask on. That's Jeff Grimes, longtime offensive line coach. He's coached at a lot of places, national championship under Gene Chizik at Auburn. He calls this offense the RVO, not RPO, RVO, and that's reliable, violent offense. And one of the things he states, he said, you know what? There's a lot of people that can be one of those two things. Very few can be both. And to this point in this season, they have been reliable because they are effective and they're productive. And they've also been violent with their physical run game all year long. And so I like the approach with him. It's not about X's and O's and plays. It's about mindset.
And this is Gunnar Romney. Lowers his shoulder. Second down coming up. Romney is a distant relative of the Utah Senator Mitt Romney, as is Gunnar's brother, obviously, Baylor, the backup quarterback.
Yeah, I tell you, Gunnar's one of those guys that's really come into his own. Reliable, makes plays. He can run by people. He can go up and make the contested catch. So he's kind of a jack of all trades for this offensive quarterback, Zach Wilson.
And he really feels like he's come into his own this season. He had shown signs of brilliance the past few years, but this year, the first time he really feels healthy and comfortable in this offense. And he credits that to the work that he put in during the shutdown, was able to go back to Arizona, really focus on the food he was putting in his body, put on about 15 pounds, and he had his brother there, somebody who was a built-in quarterback, understands the schemes and concepts of this offense. So that really helped him develop within this system, guys, and it's on display so far this season.
Yeah, no doubt, Taylor. And one of the things that this coaching staff told us is you saw Katoa give BYU a first down. A lot of these players are self-starters. They don't need motivation. That was a big reason for this team coming out in shape to begin the season out of a pandemic. Dangerous throw, and over the head of Carter Wheat. 3 incompletions in the first quarter with Zach Wilson. Boy, stock dropping.
Yeah, stock. I mean, he's obviously, you just can't cut it anymore, can't get it done.
Flag is down. Last week he was 24 out of 26.
Bar is set high.
85%.
Yes.
85% entering play.
Personal foul, block below the waist, number 4, offense, 15-yard penalty from the previous spot, still first down.
Yeah, this is a little bit abnormal from what we've seen. 3 penalties on BYU.
Yeah, in the previous 3 weeks, 8 total, and 5 of them came last week against Louisiana Tech. So again, they've been really effective, really clean, as you put it, Anish, but that's not the start they've had so far from a penalty standpoint here today.
Yeah, 3 penalties in this quarter. Their first drive ended because of a fumble in the red zone. Tunnel screen, Romney. And into Roadrunner territory, second down.
I like the recipe so far that this UTSA defense and coordinator Tyrone Nix has. If you've noticed, when they've been able to flush Zach Wilson out of the pocket and get him off platform, get him maybe off of his rhythm a little bit, he's thrown some incompletions. When things have been clean and they haven't been able to get to him and he's gotten the ball out quickly, BYU's moved the football. And so there's clearly a plan of attack here for UTSA, and they've executed it pretty well to this point.
Yeah, UTSA missing some key pieces on that defense. That is Neil Powell inside the 40. The Roadrunners without Jalen Haynes, their best D lineman. Rashad Wisdom, their best safety, and their best defensive back, out for the first half due to targeting. The other starting safety, Savion Harris, also out with injury. And then Josh Atkins, who had started the game last week, the New Mexico State grad transfer, is out 4 to 6 weeks with a broken collarbone. But Frank Harris, opening day starter, back in the lineup at QB. This is Algier. That was dangerous. And he's a dangerous downhill runner. It always seems he finishes the run with a couple of extra yards, picking up 18.
Yeah, and I think Jeff Grimes, the offensive coordinator at BYU, he realized that when UTSA was going to bring a 4th defender, it was going to come off the edge, and they're going to option that guy. And that's a game plan, and that's exactly what Zach Wilson did. Don't block him. Let him come at you and make a choice and make him wrong.
BYU averaging 11 yards a play, another red zone opportunity. 16 of 19 in the red zone this year, 13 touchdowns. Wilson being chased by Hicks on the run and still picks up positive yards, and that's going to be a horse collar on Trevor Harmonson.
Personal foul, face mask, number 15, defense. Half the distance will be tacked on to the end of the run. Automatic first down.
Face mask on Harmonson.
You know, it looked like Mason Wake, number 13, doesn't hold his block, and it forces Zach Wilson again out of the pocket. And then you see a very violent face mask infraction there.
And it looked like he had that left arm underneath the jersey, too. Might have been a horse collar and a face mask. First and goal now. And nothing doing for Dax Milne, dropped for a loss back at the 15.
That's just a good football play by Charles Wiley there. Big number 96 leverages the football, strings it out, and doesn't allow the ball to be cut underneath him, and then makes the tackle playing off the block. Way to rebound off of that penalty.
2nd and goal if BYU decides to call a play, and they are walking to the sideline. First quarter in the books, and a bit of a surprise. BYU came into this game as a 5-touchdown favorite. They find themselves trailing for the first time this season. BYU did not score in a quarter. Lavelle Edwards Stadium, still no fans allowed because of COVID. They're hoping to have some fans back in October 24th against Texas State. Kalani Sitake, head coach at BYU, he told us he loves wearing the mask. He said it makes him look like the Mortal Kombat character Sub-Zero.
I told him he looked like Bane from Batman when we saw him the other day.
2nd and goal for BYU out of an empty set. And a strike to Dax Milne. That is Zach Wilson's roommate. Those guys played at rival high schools. They go back a long way.
Milne might be one of the best route runners in college football that I have seen on tape. Whatever he may lack in elite skill set, he knows how to separate. He understands the nuances of coverage and how to manipulate it. That's one of the reasons why, you know, Zach Wilson's been so accurate, is he's had some good windows to throw into because of routes like Dax Milne's.
3rd and goal, and now Katoa joins Wilson in the backfield. Here's Romney. And he is stood up. 4th down coming up for BYU. Something to remember. Jake Oldroyd, one of the best kickers in the country for BYU. Little iffy. He did warm up today, but we were told that backup Justin Smith would handle the place kicking duties, and that could potentially impact how BYU calls their offense.
Oh, there's no question. Apparently it's impacting it right now. And I don't agree with this call at this point. There's a lot of football to be played. I think you get the points where you can get them right now. They've moved the ball. They've got a lot of yards. They don't have any points to show for it.
And a timeout by UTSA and Jeff Traylor.
Timeout, UTSA, first of the half. Timeout on the field.
Well, we got a great quarterback here in Zach Wilson. We got 2 great ones tonight on ABC. Number 7, Miami, De'Ara King, the Houston transfer, leading the Canes against Trevor Lawrence and number 1, Clemson. Tom Luginbill loves it when you ask a question that we ask seemingly every other year. Is Miami back?
No, you can't be back off of 3 weeks. You need 3 years. You need 2 years. You need sustained excellence to be perceived as back. I've never understood that. And listen, they're playing good football. They're playing good football.
Big 4th down for BYU when we come back. Goal, Tom Luginbill, you do not agree with this.
I just think it's early. There's points to be had right here. You've moved the ball, but you don't have any points to show for it. Take them when you can get them.
Wilson flushed. Floats it back in the end zone. Powell, did he stay in bounds? No signal yet. They will confer. I'm sure they'll take a look at this regardless of outcome.
They already are.
And it is a touchdown for Neil Powell.
Touchdown.
And they will likely look at this upstairs.
Goes up, gets it at its highest point.
Foot down. From that angle, it looks like a catch.
It looks like he might have had both feet down, at least both toes down. It does look like a catch. Let's see here. The left foot appears to be down right there. He secures the ball, completes the act of the catch.
Ruling on the field was a touchdown, so you've got to find indisputable evidence it's not a touchdown to overturn this call. And I keep coming back to this one. It looks like he's got both feet in and he completes the catch. They looked at it upstairs. It is a touchdown, and BYU converts on 4th down and goal. And now Justin Smith on for the PAT. It's true. So the freshman connects on his first kick as a BYU Cougar, and BYU on top 7-3.
Now, Anish, that man right there, Kalani Sitake, the head coach, when asked earlier in the week about some of the throws that his quarterback will attempt, he says, I like the quality risks. All right, essentially what he's saying is it's a calculated risk. You've got a matchup out here with Pau. You're outside of the pocket. He's 6'4". If you throw it up and high, he's catching it or nobody's catching it. Now, if he throws that ball up for grabs and doesn't allow the target to elevate it, it's an incompletion or it's an interception. So that's one of those moments where you kind of appreciate what the quarterback attempted to do because he put the ball in the right place.
And again, a lot of folks will point to BYU's schedule and say, well, they put up all these insane numbers. Who have they played? Not all of that is fair. Navy was a pretty good team a season ago. Yeah. But when you watch plays like that, it doesn't matter who you're playing. You have a tight window, and Zach Wilson had the right touch, threw it to the right guy, had the right height on the ball. That's a play NFL scouts will look at and be wowed by regardless of opponent.
Well, and yeah, when you go back over the last 3 weeks and you watch all their games and you peel back the layers, you're seeing big-time throws, sometimes in not perfect conditions from this quarterback. So whoever you're doing it against, we're not dinking and dunking and throwing bubble screens as we spoke of earlier. You're making difficult throws that would be difficult against anybody.
Ryan Rico to kick it off again. Oldroyd, the starting kicker, out today. This season, for every field goal and extra point made by participating universities, All-State will make a contribution to the university's General Scholarship Fund. Thank you, All-State.
See Barry Lunny there, the offensive coordinator, down on the field, Anish, for the first time. Previous 4 weeks, he'd been up in the booth. I think a lot of that has to do with just that face-to-face interaction that you have between your quarterback and your coach when you come off from the series.
And movement on the left side of that offensive line.
Did they?
False start, number 4, offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Tight end Leroy Watson. Let's check in with Taylor.
You guys mentioned how Barry Lunny, this is the first time that he's down here on the sideline directly after their last drive, got right in the face of Frank Harris, was able to draw some things up for him on the whiteboard and talk to some of the coaches and the rest of the offense. So I think that does make a big difference. And Tom, you know firsthand.
Yeah, I think that when, you've had a series, whether things have gone well, Taylor, or they've gone poorly, you have that eye contact and you can get on the board and maybe you can kind of talk a guy off the ledge. You can gather the whole group together and relay a point. I just think there's a healthy communication there, and you're seeing more and more coordinators on both sides of the ball, for that very reason, head to the field.
Harris running the speed option. Sincere McCormick clobbered in the backfield by Kavika Fanua.
And he was clobbered because his tight end, Gavin Sharp, number 87, doesn't sustain the block on the perimeter. And you're going to see they option the right guy. He pitches it, and you miss the block right there. And you've got no chance. You don't give yourself a chance. That's a self-inflicted wound on the perimeter for UTSA. They maintain that block. Sincere McCormick has an opportunity to hit the crease and get upfield. Instead, you've got a loss of 4.
Now 3rd and long. Harris in the pocket, drops it off. It's juggled, caught by Franklin, and that juggle cost him yards. Probably would not have gotten it anyway. And 3 and out goes UTSA. And if you're the Roadrunners now, you got to worry a little bit about the pendulum swinging.
Yeah, a little Big Mo came from one sideline to the other. And, right there, I think UTSA on that 3rd down played right into the hands of the BYU defensive philosophy. We're going to back 5 across the middle portion and intermediate portion of the field, 3 deep behind it, and we're going to force you to throw the ball underneath and make the tackle.
Lucas Dean, one of the best punters in the country, and special teams, especially the kicking game, a huge strength for UTSA. Dean, the Australian, lets it fly. Booming kick. Fair catch called for by Milne inside the 40-yard line. BYU on the board. Gutsy call. Zach Wilson on 4th and goal. On the run. Finds Neil Pau for 6. Broncos Patriots. New England has reopened its facilities today. Cam Newton on track to start on Monday if there are no new symptoms. Chargers and Saints. New Orleans quarterback Drew Brees has become something of a mentor for Zach Wilson. Talking to Wilson yesterday, he said he got to be around Brees, got to see the work ethic, how he communicates everything, and that was while Wilson and Brees were training with former BYU quarterback and now QB guru John Beck.
Yeah, the thing that I took from that he seems to appreciate is the little nuances and the details that Drew Brees pays close attention to with every little drill. Even the littlest detail was something that Zach Wilson was really impressed with.
Screen pass to Algier, nearly intercepted. Antonio Parks almost caught it off the deflection. For more on that Brees-Wilson relationship, Taylor.
A lot of it was the hard work and the work ethic that he took away from Drew Brees. He said last year he would work hard, but he always felt like he was working harder than everybody else. And being around Drew Brees, he said, now I never feel like I'm working harder than anybody else, because Drew Brees would be out there training, and he said he would act like he was the elementary school quarterback trying to learn from everybody else around him, although he had more experience. And that's something he's taken into this season, and his teammates feel it. A lot of the guys I talked to, Gunnar Romney, earlier this week, told me that he's almost OCD in the way that he watches film, and he really feels like that's helped Zach take the next step this season.
3rd down and 1 after a 9-yard run by Algier, and that's something Zach Wilson told us. He said when he watched Brees take snaps in practice without a defense, he'd throw the ball, and as soon as the play was over, he would go through his other reads,
his progressions
after he released the ball. That's something Wilson picked up.
No, one thing, Anish, about this offense right now that I think is wise is BYU seems to be going back to the ground game a little bit. You mentioned it in our break. That's the bread and butter of the offense. This offense is not about how many plays you have. It's about window dressing. It's simplicity made to look complex. You're going to see a lot of formations, personnel groupings, motions, and shifts, but they really only have 4 run plays. They don't have a bunch of stuff on their plate, so they rep those over and over and over again. And that man right there, Jeff Grimes, I think needs to get back to those big guys up front that are 23, 24, 25 years old and start to lean on this undersized UTSA front.
We just saw on 3rd and short, Mason Wake, 6'1", 250, pick up the 1st down. Wilson eluding the pursuit, flag down, it's incomplete. Zach Wilson still has not been sacked this season.
You can't get to him. And when you do, he's a good enough athlete to evade it and avoid a negative play.
Holding, number 77, offense, 10-yard penalty from the previous spot, still 1st down.
Chandon Herring, the right guard, and remember, they still miss Tristan Hodge there, who would be the normal starter.
Yeah, and Herring just gets his hands on the outside right there on big number 94, Kevin Wilson. And right now, hey, UTSA, they're giving BYU all they can handle on passing downs with pass rush and bringing some guys off the edge that Zach Wilson's having to account for.
Lopini Katoa. And he is spun down after a short gain. Here's Kevin Connors.
Anish, the longest game in Texas football history. 25, Anish.
You thought Dicker the kicker could maybe do it again. 2nd and 16, and that is off the hands of Braden Cosper, the sophomore. 3rd and 16, and Zach Wilson came into this game having thrown just 11 incompletions in the first 3 contests. 12 out of 16 today.
And still a nice outing so far in the first half, but Where he's been off his mark is where Tyrone Nix, the defensive coordinator at UTSA, has flushed him. He's forced him to go one way or the other and not just be able to throw on platform within the pocket. That's when he's been his least effective.
Now, if they pick up 8 or 9 here, it would not surprise me to see this offense go for it. They've gone for it on 4th down twice already in the half. And maybe that's why this timeout is happening.
Second and a half.
You're installing 2 plays. 3rd and 16, BYU. Cougars nurse a 4-point lead. Touchdowns last week. He's back there with Ryan Shockney on 3rd and 16. You've got Kelechi Nwachukwu as well. And remember, UTSA missing its 2 starting safeties. Savion Harris out, Rashad Wisdom out for the first half because of targeting last week. He'll be back after halftime. Speed option, it's Algier, got a great block from Romney, and then driven out of bounds inside the 45. 4th and 7. It would not surprise me to see Jeff Grimes roll the dice.
Not at all, and I love this speed option call. Don't block the end man on the line of scrimmage. Option off of him, make him be wrong. And now you've got that forward lean, lower your shoulder. We talked about the toughness with these running backs.
Well, the punt team does come on this time, so
interesting.
They went for it on 4th down in the first quarter from around the same area on the field. Also went for it on 4th and goal and got a touchdown. Ryan Rico to kick it away. Could a fake be in play? No. And Sheldon Jones makes the fair catch at the 6. Wherever the students are, the Taco Bell Live Ma student section lives. Visit livemastudentsection.com to learn more. Unfortunately, Lavelle Edwards Stadium does not have fans. 3rd straight game without fans here, obviously with COVID going on, and Provo being in what is called an orange designated zone.
Correct.
Where there is higher than usual COVID activity.
Well, just so you know, I am where the tacos are at. I can tell you that right now. We are keeping an eye on those student sections. You got to be safe and you got to socially distance. But you know what? You can be a student. You can be a student section in your home, in your dorm, on a boat. Show us, man. See what you got. What's the passion for your team?
Did you just read Green Eggs and Ham?
I can see why Kalani Sitake, a defensive-minded head coach, would punt that, play field position. You know, right now, UTSA, now think about it 3 or 4 snaps ahead. They haven't given you any reason to think that they're going to really press you in the passing game and be able to drive the length of the field. So if you get a 3 and out here, they're punting it right back to you and you're having great field position.
Harris will try to run. Gets the edge. And a good job by BYU closing up those holes on the perimeter quickly. And a 3rd down from deep in their own zone for the Roadrunners.
I think this is a down that if you're Barry Lunny in the passing game, backed up on 3rd, you'd like to avoid throwing the football right here. And if you do and you're BYU, you say, you know what? Just think it, we'll come up and tackle you. Play right into our hands.
So where is the soft spot in this BYU defense when they rush 3?
Outside the numbers. You see the corners dropping? That's where you want to be, and they go right to the outside, and there it is.
They brought 4. That throw had a lot of hang time on it.
Rolling on the field,
and it took the receiver, Cephas, out of bounds, 4th down.
Took what the defense gave him. He just wasn't able to bring the ball down a little lower to get his feet in bounds. Got the line to gain, so you did a nice job right there. If you're Josh Cephas. But those are the throws I think you can make.
So this is how Kalani Sitake drew it up when he decided to punt from plus territory. Now you've got Dax Milne waiting at the 45-yard line.
Dax Milne is standing where his punter was standing to kick the ball previously.
Lucas Dean, a terrific leg. Fair catch is called for, but it lands out of bounds. BYU to begin in plus territory with 7:17 to go in the half.
BYU over UTSA. This is one of the reasons why BYU has struggled to be as consistent offensively, and it's flushing Zach Wilson from the pocket. You see him on the move. That's not how that play is designed. And you see the great effort from UTSA. That's been the approach from Tyrone Nix, the defensive coordinator. Let's rush the edges, and maybe we get him off of his mark so he either can't go through his progressions or he's having to throw the ball late and across his body. It hasn't been perfect every time for UTSA, but they have created some issues. 12-16 is a great day, don't get me wrong. But 2 of those 4 incompletions have been because he has not been able to throw on platform the way he'd like to.
He's being graded right now on a very steep curve.
Yes, he is.
BYU averaging 8 yards per play, but only 7 points. And let's see if they do try to go back to the run. They do here. It's Katoa as we check in with Kevin.
And Anish, this studio update brought to you by AT&T 5G. 0-2 in Big 12 play.
So the Big 12 now turns its lonely eyes to Oklahoma State. Cowboys, its best bet for the college football playoff, which was likely true before that game started. How about Algier? Now, we were talking about it on the last drive. There is a flag down with UTSA flushing Wilson. Do you go back to the ground game?
Well, they seem to in the first 2 plays.
Offside, number 9. Defense lined up in the neutral zone. That penalty is declined. Results of the play, first down.
And I like the run approach. They're not going wide. They're not getting lateral. They're going downhill. This is a wide zone team, zone blocking team. Wide zone, they want to hit one step and get north and then maybe create a potential cutback. If I am Jeff Grimes, the offensive coordinator, I'm going to continue to do this until UTSA can show that they can stop it.
Cougars today have done well on the ground. Algier, in fact, averaging almost 10 yards a carry. You saw Tyrone Nix a moment ago, spent a lot of time in the SEC. He's the defensive coordinator for the Roadrunners. Wide open, Milne is bumped out of bounds midair by Corey Mayfield Jr.
Well, in order to actually clear the hurdle, you got to spread your legs apart. You can't keep your knees close together. Look how accurate this throw is. Gets the ball out on time. You can't defend that. Now, they don't have anybody within the area code on defense right now, but boy, is he a good route runner. We mentioned that earlier. He can set up defenders, create separation, and when the ball's out on time, it's difficult to defend.
A former walk-on from Bingham High School, one of the traditional powers in the high school ranks in Utah. First and goal now from the 10. 2 tight ends in there. Algier. And brought down from behind by Parks, the safety.
That's not where they wanted that play to go. They wanted that play to be able to go downhill, and instead, and credit UTSA's defensive front, they leveraged BYU, played low, and stretched this play to the sideline. They kept spilling it, bouncing it to the outside, and eventually make the tackle.
Injured UTSA player is Kevin Nelson, and that's big.
That is big.
He plays in the center of that defense as nose guard. Jalen Haynes, the normal starter there, and their best defensive lineman already out.
Yep.
So now you're getting thin at a crucial position.
Yeah, you're getting thin. But I will say this about this team, and Jeff Traylor, the head coach, Tyrone Nix, the defensive coordinator, deserve a lot of credit. They do not have an effort issue at UTSA. As a first-year coaching staff, these kids have bought in. They play exceptionally hard, and you see that on the field. You see some team speed. You see some of BYU's guys getting run down a little bit. That's through effort and athleticism.
It's a young program, only the 10th year of existence. And one thing is clear, if you're the UTSA administration, 4 games plus into the season, you hired the right coach.
Absolutely.
Wilson pumps. There is Katoa. Into the end zone with ease. I'll let you say it, because you said it earlier.
Did you see how he got the ball out? It's just this subtle little nuance. Watch it. It might not always be pretty, but look how he had to get it out. See his elbow? That's the only way he makes the throw. He can't throw that over the top. He's got to just a little flip on the sideline. Really well-designed play on the screen. Katoa takes it in for the touchdown. And I think that's something that maybe gets glossed over a little bit, Anish, is as the extra point goes through for BYU, is you have to change the way you get rid of the football in today's college football. Not everything's going to be clean and perfect. And if you can do that and still be accurate, what this young man can.
Offside, number 95. Defense, that penalty has declined. Try is good.
In the evolution of quarterbacks, we're starting to see this old adage play out. Learn the fundamentals, then break the rules and create your own. And you're starting to see that. You saw it at the college level quite a bit with guys like Johnny Manziel earlier. Patrick Mahomes has brought that to the NFL. Zach Wilson is part of that club. Different arm angles, throwing off balance, doing things that in the past would be corrected and now are being encouraged.
They're being encouraged because, you don't want to get in the way. And we asked Jeff Grimes that, how much do you address it? He said, if the end result's good, we're going to leave it alone. And again, the accuracy that comes from that. And I think, you mentioned some guys in recent history, but before those guys, you had the Steve Youngs were doing that. The Brett Favres, he could get the ball out in a bunch of different ways. And that makes guys like Zach Wilson difficult to rush. When the NFL guys turn on the tape, they're going to see anticipation, they're going to see him get the ball out, and they're going to see accuracy with the end result. And all three of those things could play this guy into the first round.
A few years ago, I was at a Picasso museum, and they had his work in chronological order. And you saw some of the early stuff. It looked very standard. It didn't look like Picasso. He started making it up as he went along, and he essentially created this genre, cubism. So we're kind of seeing that with NFL quarterbacks and quarterbacks now, creating their own style, things that in the past would have been looked at as crazy, and he needs to be fixed. And now, hey, he's different. That's okay because he can still make the plays.
He makes the plays, and he is a sneaky good athlete, a much better athlete than he probably gets credit for because of the plays that he extends. Let's just say he extends a play and it's not a completion, but guess what? It's not. It's not a sack. All right? You live the play the next down. You haven't made any catastrophic mistakes.
Another chance for this UTSA offense. Frank Harris, first game back from injury, has Sincere McCormick, who steps out of bounds in front of Fanua. Kevin.
Anish, coming up on the Nissan Halftime Report, we will paint a Picasso of our own. We'll show you how Texas A&M rallied to beat number 4 Florida today, plus the highest scoring, longest Red River showdown they've played in the entire history of that game, plus another huge upset in the SEC coming up at the half. Anish?
Daw applying pressure, and that is caught by Franklin. Kevin still in his blue period after the Yankees lost to the Rays.
Rolling on the field as a catch for a first down.
Kevin's feeling blue.
I am too. I'm in that same boat. We commiserate, yeah. Tough way to lose last night. There is McCormick trying to get to the edge. And the sophomore physics major tripped up. Kavika Fanua, you'll see him maybe at running back later as well.
He's everywhere.
He is everywhere, and he's a playmaker, 25 years old.
Yeah, 25 years old. They got a bunch of those. There's some life skills on this BYU roster. Guys have gone to different countries, learned different languages, redshirted, then still got 4 years to play football.
Downfield, incomplete. Actually caught by Jordan Weeks, third-string quarterback this week, but he's not in play. Third and 11.
With Frank Harris, when you see him miss, you see it high. The ball's high, and we saw that out route. He completed it on the previous series, which would have converted for first down, but the ball was high, didn't allow his target to get in bounds. Same result on that last play. Now you're left with third and long.
You wonder, though, if they're being a little extra cautious with Harris, given his injury history and the fact that he's coming off an injury. Stands in the pocket, hit as he throws it, and nearly intercepted. Warner almost had his second. It's 4th and 11, and you saw the formula as Harris limps off the field. If BYU can make Frank Harris a pocket passer, UTSA has no chance in this game.
There's no question, and because there's not going to be anywhere to go with the ball. You asked me, okay, in this 3 down, 5 along the middle of the field, and 3 behind it, where's the open areas? It's the outside. You gotta fish the flats in the out regions, and they've only attacked that twice. They completed one, incompletion on the other.
We'll have to monitor Harris. Again, came off the field a little gimpy, had the sprained knee a couple of weeks ago. Great punt by Dean. And it's going to die inside the 2-yard line. He is a weapon. In fact, head coach Jeff Traylor said earlier in the week, one of my favorite plays is when Lucas gets to go punt. I know you're not supposed to say that, but that sucker is really good.
He says his punter and his kicker are 2 of the team's hardest workers. Look at this kid crush this ball. He knows where he's kicking it. They want to go to the corner because they've got the cover set up for that ball to go to the right. And then the ball just goes out on its own.
He's a product of Pro Kick. That's the academy in Australia that has been turning out punters and kickers left and right at the college level. Algier bulldozes his way for a first down and gain of 11. Cougars have 277 yards of total offense in this first half. Only 14 points, though.
Yeah, that's where, obviously it can be deceiving. And we see Lowell Narcisse here. Now, you were talking about the injuries to Frank Harris. Hopefully Frank Harris has not suffered another injury. But this young man, highly touted recruit, as a high school junior and senior, had an ACL on injury on both legs.
Look at Algier again, adding a couple to the end of that run. Narcisse began his career at LSU. And Frank Harris's injury history was one of the reasons Jeff Traylor went and got Josh Adkins from New Mexico State. Wide open Milne steps out of bounds, a first down. But then Adkins last week on the very first play, as we get a flag, broke his collarbone. He's out 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, that really hurt them because it just took any air out of their sail in the passing game because he was the best passer of their quarterback room. Now they go back to a runner in Frank Harris and maybe get a blend of it in Lowell Narcisse.
There are fouls by both teams. Illegal substitution, defense, more than 11 players. An eligible man downfield, number 83. Offense, those fouls will offset. Replay, second down.
Lugs, and you brought up Adkins being their best pocket passer. If this is a game where if the trend continues and UTSA can't get Harris to the perimeter, if you have a healthy Adkins, that's now an option for the coaches to jumpstart your offense.
Yeah, absolutely. And without that, you're kind of stuck in a rut, and BYU knows it.
Yeah, Narcisse, another running quarterback. Zach Wilson fooled the defense, and he is dropped by Dadrian Taylor. Only a yard, third down. Alabama, Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin brutally honest this morning on Game Day about his relationship with Nick Saban. Compared it to an ex and going through a divorce. This week's college football rankings brought to you by Goodyear. Certainly BYU has its highest ranking at number 15 in the AP poll since 2009. Clemson sits at that top spot. We saw the Tigers a few weeks ago, and they weren't even at full strength, but no holds there. Bama's been rolling. Georgia in another close one against Tennessee after getting a scare for a half against Arkansas a few weeks ago. Florida going down earlier today to A&M.
Yeah, Florida for a couple of weeks now, everybody's been questioning the defense, and rightfully so. A lot of explosive plays given up, and really across the SEC today as a whole, a lot of explosive plays being given up.
Is the SEC quietly turning into the Big 12?
I think that's a leap. But I don't know if some of the teams that we become accustomed to being really good up front on defense are as good as they've been. Auburn, LSU, Florida would be three to come to mind.
A first down run for Katoa. Well, I say this with Lane Kiffin and Leach and some of these high-powered offenses now. For years, all you heard from the SEC crowd, oh, that would never work in this league. That would never work in this league. It's working in that league.
Yeah.
Another rare incompletion by Wilson. Only had 11 on the season coming into today. That's his 5th of the first half.
Yeah, and again, that little short roll, but they roll him into pressure. So now he's got to throw with somebody in his face, which he's generally very, very good at. I'm a little surprised, and you see Jeff Grimes, the offensive coordinator for BYU, that they're not being a little bit more aggressive in their approach to get this ball into the end zone. Kind of taking their time. I know they stopped the clock there. Doesn't seem to be a high-tempo 2-minute mode here.
Another check down. That's Isaac Rex. Last name is Latin for king. 3rd and 3. Isaac's dad, a former All-American tight end at BYU, Byron. There's a shot downfield.
Whoa.
And he puts it right in the breadbasket of Romney, who cannot hold on.
Romney there appears to be shaken up, makes a great effort to try and bring that ball in, but what a wonderfully thrown deep ball. One of the few deep shots we've seen BYU in this offense take today. He just can't secure the ball. Romney able to get back over the top and then come back to the inside to secure that football. Just can't complete the act.
Tariq Woolen in coverage. You don't usually see 6'5" corners, but he is one, a converted wideout. Rico to punt it away on 4th down. Big stop for UTSA. And now Sheldon Sticks Jones tumbles for a short return. BYU trying to rip it away. There is a flag down.
Return. Illegal block in the back. Number 39, return team. 10-yard penalty from the end of the run. 1st down, UTSA.
Game 6 of the NBA Finals tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern on ABC. How about the Heat last night? Jimmy Butler and company knocking off the Lakers to force Game 6. Butler had a huge game, made some big baskets down the stretch, and it'll take one more if LeBron's going to get that 4th ring.
Jimmy Butler playing out of his mind.
Out of his mind. New quarterback, Lowell Narcisse, who began his career at LSU. He is a southpaw. Not so much east-west, more north-south. And he hands it off to B.J. Daniels for a minimal gain. Taylor.
After Frank Harris got a little bit injured on that last drive, he came to the sideline, was trying to prove to the coaches that he was okay, had a conversation with Barry Lunney Jr. trying to say, I'm okay to go back in. Barry Lunney was not having it, and as you can see, they went with Narcisse. Now, just a reminder, Coach Traylor did tell us at the beginning of this game that if Harris was at all not 100%, they would not play him, and that seems to be the situation right now, guys.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking about. Frank Harris told the coaching staff he could have played last week. He could have come back in the second half of the Middle Tennessee game, but because of the history, and we told you, 2 torn ACLs, a season-ending shoulder injury last year, a sprained knee earlier this year, they are extra careful with him. BYU did call a timeout after that last run, and that's the play where he got hurt. Tyler Batty, it looked like, bringing the pressure.
Well, head coach Jeff Traylor said, sometimes I got to protect Frank from Frank. He's so competitive, wants to get into the football game, but maybe this is also a bit of a shift you need to make. You see him talking to Coach Lunney right there, the offensive coordinator on your right. But from an offensive spark standpoint, Lowell Narcisse is probably the better passer of the two. As you referenced, Anisha, a more physical downhill runner, and maybe they need a little bit of a shift here because they haven't been able to move the football through the air. They've had some bright spots on the ground.
5 games into the season, it's taken 4 quarterbacks, and Narcisse subdued. Bracken El Bakri on the stop. Clock continues to tick down. Unlikely UTSA will use a timeout. BYU out of timeouts, 3rd and 13. Yeah, despite everything, the Roadrunners still in this game. They'll get the ball to begin the 3rd quarter. BYU on pace for 600 yards, but the scoreboard tells a different story.
Well, and you would have thought coming in with 3rd and 13 here, UTSA on defense had given up more plays of 20-plus yards or more than anybody else in college football. So you really thought that BYU would be able to take advantage of that. Not the case to this point.
And Narcisse takes the knee, and that will take us into halftime. Zach Wilson, 15 out of 21, 189 yards, 2 TD passes. It's becoming usual brilliance for him, but UTSA very much in this game against 15th ranked BYU. It's 14-3, and the Roadrunners will get the ball to begin the second half. All presented by Sling TV, the Wasatch Mountains overlooking Lavelle Edwards Stadium. Lowest scoring first half for both teams, UTSA and 15th ranked BYU. Cougars on top, and Zach Wilson has come as advertised.
Yeah, we've seen a little bit of everything. You see him kind of improvise there with a little shovel. Watch him change the arm angle here to get that completion on the screen, leads to a touchdown. And this is a calculated risk. Let's take care of the 6'4" receiver by throwing it up and above and giving him a shot. See the play action and the ability to get the ball out. It's so difficult to rush him. And then the difficult on a rope throw. Dax Milne on the out route, and the ball's just there so quickly. So a lot to like about this young man. The one thing you don't like so far is not a lot of points on the board.
The UTSA with the ball at the 25 to begin the second half as we check in with Taylor McGregor.
I asked Coach Traylor straight up, will we see Frank Harris in the second half? He paused and said, we're going to go with Narcisse as of now. He said, we really need to establish the run in the second half, but if they're going to win this football game, they have to be able to throw the ball downfield, guys.
I thank you, Taylor. Narcisse relieved Harris, who left the game with an apparent injury, and the coaching staff has been very clear. Harris has a long injury history. If he's not 100%, he's not going to play. He missed last week's game, coming back from a sprained knee, wasn't quite 100%, and did not play. So Narcisse, the former LSU Tiger, throws, and he's got Zachary Franklin, who had a big game 2 weeks ago against Middle Tennessee, second down.
Well, remember, we talked about where do you attack this BYU defense. If you're going to rush three, you're going to have 5 in the middle of the field, then you're going to have 3 deep behind that. You're going to fish the flats, you're going to hit the out routes. So they come out with the hitch route and go right to it. I like it.
Sincere McCormick, the nation's leading rusher, wrapped up. Micah Harper, the cornerback, with the stop, 3rd and 5. Narcisse did split the first team reps in practice this week with Harris. It was a game time decision as to who would start, but the coaches said, while they're both running quarterbacks and they're both lefty, they're different types of running quarterbacks. Narcisse, north-south, Harris, more east-west.
Man, Coach Jeff Traylor acknowledged that he should have played Lowell Narcisse more last week. He should have gone to him earlier, and let's see if he answers the toll this week.
They might have beat UAB had they. 4-man pressure this time. Narcisse standing in and fires a strike to Leroy Watson, the piano-playing tight end. Flag is down.
Personal foul, targeting, 34, defense. Previous play is under further review.
So Kavika Fanua called for targeting. The replay booth has to confirm targeting. All aspects have to be confirmed, and this will be interesting. Defenseless player just making a catch. I don't know if that's forcible contact, and that's where this could potentially be overturned.
I think that's the most subjective portion of the rule, is if you see the head dip and you're leading with it, which I think he is leading with it, so then what constitutes forcible contact?
Lugs, I don't see forcible contact there. I think this is going to be overturned.
The targeting review process, is the attack with the crown of the helmet? If no, no targeting foul. If yes, it is a targeting foul.
There is the rule, and again, yes, if you lead with the crown of the helmet and make forcible contact.
After review, there is no foul for targeting. The result of the play is a first down for UTSA.
See, I think fans at home look at that and go, how is that not targeting? And the forcible contact portion of it is, I think, so subjective on what leads to forcible contact. How does it look? Is it going to be the same play in and play out? I could have seen that call go either way.
Yeah, it didn't seem that Watson was impacted that greatly by it, and that seemed to be the hint. Not enough forcible contact, but you're going through the checklist. Defenseless player. Does he meet any of the indicators? And you check off those two boxes, and the third one, very subjective. There is Narcisse, all 6'3", 230 pounds, and diving up the middle for a short gain of 2.
Well, we need to acknowledge that was a really good throw to convert, get the line to gain from Laurel Narcisse. Watson on the receiving end. So they've at least mounted something here. They're moving the football, and you're right, the big downhill runner, but you're heading right into the teeth of the strength of this BYU defense, tackle to tackle.
Yeah, it's a UTSA team that is still getting healthier, especially on the right side of the offensive line with Kevin Davis and Mekhi Hart. Those are 2 starters, but they've missed some time and haven't been in the lineup that long. Narcisse to the sideline. He's got Zachary Franklin, and he has given this offense a little bit of a spark from what we saw from Frank Harris in his last few drives.
Well, again, where are they attacking the defense? At its vulnerable points. You're dropping 3, you're dropping 5, you're rushing 3. All right, so the outside of the field, I can't stress it enough. You can throw the hitch route, the out route, the quick out route. It's going to be there all day. It's just a matter of whether or not you're going to be patient enough to take it in the passing game if you're UTSA.
Sheldon Jones in motion. Narcisse to the air. Slings it downfield, and he's got Watson. 2 big catches by Leroy Watson. It's only an 11-point game, but given how the first half ended, you got the sense this drive could make or break the game for UTSA.
Yeah, they're making some impressive throws, got some tempo going now. They're in a rhythm.
Narcisse keeps, and upended by Kafusi.
Now, you kind of get the sense that Lowell Narcisse never really got the chance to develop at LSU. You know, you have an ACL injury at junior year in high school, another ACL injury your senior year in high school. So you don't play your last 2 years, and you're a widely coveted recruit, but just could never seem to get into the thick of things there at LSU, and now looking pretty sharp here on the road against BYU.
I went to junior college before UTSA as Sincere McCormick, top rusher in the nation entering the week, picks up a couple. 3rd down. Narcisse does have starting experience last year, in fact, when Frank Harris suffered a season-ending shoulder injury. It was Narcisse who started 7 games for the Roadrunners. And a 3rd and 5 here from the 9. BYU defensively has been exceptional on 3rd down this season.
Just the 3rd time an opponent's been in the red zone against this BYU defense. So uncharted waters for the Cougs.
Narcisse to the air, it's tipped, and it falls incomplete. 4th and 5.
Trying to throw that skinny post. Some offenses call a bang 8. I think the linebacker might have got in front of it prior to it being tipped, or right after it getting tipped at the line of scrimmage. Either way, incomplete. But you know what? Sit some points on the board. Now you generate some momentum. You got some confidence in your offense.
The reliable Hunter Duplessis on. He's made 19 straight field goals, and this would make it a 1-score game. And a whistle before the kick.
False start, number 84, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
Oscar Cardenas, so back it up 5 yards, and it becomes a 31-yard field goal now. And another penalty marker.
False start, number 4, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
Is UTSA trying not to score here?
Leroy Watson that time. Duplessis as reliable as they get. 19 straight made field goals, but Now, this one's not on the announcers.
No.
If he misses. He's already made 2.
That's exactly right. Jeff Traylor's got to be sick to his stomach watching this in the last 2 attempts.
You guys are good with 7?
So now a 36-yarder. Turning into Tetris for Duplessis. That doesn't matter.
He doesn't care.
3 for 3, but he only gets 3 points. UTSA makes it a 1-score game.
Each battling in prime time. Tonight at 7:30 on ABC and ESPN.
Some good ones tonight, and how about this? ESPN's Football Power Index. It gives BYU the second best chance of any team to run the table. Now, the Cougars aren't playing the schedule they originally envisioned, which had a number of Power 5 teams. So
right.
As an independent, with all these conferences postponing football and earlier even saying they wouldn't play in the fall, the Cougars really had to reconfigure their entire schedule. In fact, they're still scheduling on the fly. They're still filling out their schedule. They only recently re-added Boise State and San Diego State. This is what the schedule looks like. It's not what it was originally going to be. The original schedule had Utah, and Michigan State, and Arizona State, Minnesota, Utah State, Missouri, Stanford. But look at those open dates at the bottom.
Yeah.
If anybody in the Pac-12 gets canceled on, BYU is going to be on the phone.
Gotta be.
Because if you're undefeated and you're in the mix, it's going to be a long shot. History's bore that out. We've seen it with UCF. It's going to be a long shot. But if you're trying to get into that playoff conversation late in the season, I would expect BYU to explore every avenue to try to schedule some Power 5s. And December 19th could be interesting because that's conference championship week. Again, BYU as an independent can say, hey, we will play any team that is not playing in the conference championship, maybe the best team not playing for a conference championship.
No question.
And that gives you a chance again to raise some of your metrics if that opponent would be allowed by its conference. Against a 3-man rush, now delayed pressure. And this is Neil Pau'u who has a touchdown in this game. 3rd down. And a big 3rd down now for this road runner defense. BYU has only had 2 3-and-outs all season.
Yeah, and this Roadrunner defense, they're undersized and they've been outmanned a little bit. Both of their safeties out in the first half. They're going to get wisdom back from a targeting penalty a week ago versus UAB. But the one thing they've done is they've played really hard. They've run to the football. They've been able to get Zach Wilson off the mark a few times with some pass rush. And it looks like they're going to give a little bit of a different look up front here too. Let's see what they decide to bring.
Showing pressure on 3rd and 6. 4-man rush. High throw brought in by Milne. Got away from Parks momentarily, but still shy of the marker. And BYU's going to have to punt, just the 3rd 3-and-out all season for the Cougars.
No, we haven't seen a lot of attempted downfield throws outside of the drop by Gunnar Romney in the second quarter. And I think UTSA's kind of given BYU a taste of their own medicine. They're going to drop back, they're going to let you throw the underneath stuff, and they're going to come up and make the tackle.
Ryan Rico, the freshman from Washington, will punt it away. Good kick. And Jones with a fair catch at his own 21. To you by Sherwin-Williams. BYU wearing its 4th jersey combo of the season. The Players Leadership Council was given the opportunity this year to decide what jerseys to wear each game. Today's jersey, traditional home jersey that has been used since 2005. And talking to Kalani Sitake, the head coach, this week, when the pandemic hit and when everything was done by Zoom and virtually, he saw the adversity as a chance to get creative and innovate. And didn't do it so much from an X's and O's standpoint, but they were innovative with how they treated their culture and their leadership, giving everybody on this team a voice. Doesn't matter if you've earned it or not. You can be a leader on this football team.
Well, and one of the things I also liked was it forced him as a head coach to say, you know what, can we be more efficient? Can we do things differently? Do I need to be holding staff meetings when our coaches could be at home with their kids and we could do it on Zoom? He just had a real good perspective, a healthy perspective.
Incomplete on first down off the hand of Sincere McCormick. Yeah, he told us that as coaching staff, sometimes you get set in your ways, and they were able to put their egos away and listen to guys. And one of the examples he gave us, Zach Wilson came to the coaches and said, hey, this is what I've been working on in the offseason. And instead of the coaches saying, well, okay, that's not what we do, they try to cater around the players' strength, and it's listening to the players, getting input from the players. He said a good idea can come from anywhere.
Yep.
Narcisse to take off. And he slides down at the 30 and...
Oh, well, come on, buddy. You're a big-bodied guy. We got to go shoulder pads forward on that one, get that first down.
So 3rd and 2. When you slide, they spot the ball at where the quarterback begins his slide.
Correct.
Narcisse keeps it on the zone read, and that time did not slide and gets a first down.
That's a big road runner.
6'3", 230 pounds, and he's not going to flutter on the perimeter like Frank Harris. More of a in-between the tackles type. And we have movement and a flag.
False start, 87. Offense, 5-yard penalty. Still touchdown.
Gavin Sharp.
.7:55 on the game clock.
LaVell Edwards Stadium remains empty because of COVID and heightened concern for spread in Provo. So this is the 3rd straight game where no fans are allowed in the building. They're hoping to have fans back for the Texas State game October 24th. BYU bringing some extra bodies. Tonga chasing Narcisse, and it's incomplete. And tale of two quarterbacks. With Narcisse, BYU wants to get him on the move and see if he can get the perimeter or throw on the run. Not the plan against Frank Harris.
That's exactly right, because they can run this guy down laterally. And what BYU has done a good job of, and we referenced this earlier, is the strength of their unit is up front. Their front 3 or 4, depending on their look. And if you're a big downhill runner, you're basically running into the strength of this defense, and that's what BYU wants you to do.
Sincere McCormick, the Conference USA Freshman of the Year last year. Only a yard, so 3rd and long, and it almost seems McCormick's been a little underutilized so far in this game.
Yeah, he has, but I also think that for much of the first half, they got into so many 2nd and 3rd and long situations because they weren't able to successfully throw the football. It's kind of taken McCormick out of the game plan.
BYU dropping 8 on 3rd down. This is Dingle. And did he get the first down? It appears he did. Got it by a yard, the senior from Baltimore.
Again, Dingle's speed is what allows this to be a successful play. BYU did forced UTSA to do what they want to do. Drop the ball underneath, and then, we're going to make the tackle. This time, though, Dingle with the speed to get to the edge outruns Kafusi 53 right there, and that's just a mismatch and underneath zone coverage.
UTSA has converted 3 straight 3rd downs after starting 0 for 6. And Jalon Williams erased in the backfield. Peyton Wilgar, the sophomore out of St. George, Utah, dad Dana, played defensive back for BYU in the 70s.
Jalon Williams, tomorrow when these coaches start to talk and go through the tape, they're going to say, young man, we need you to plant that foot in the ground and get north.
Another 2nd and long. McCormick in the game as running back. Pressure from up the middle. They set up the screen, and it's Joshua Cephas. So third down coming up for UTSA near midfield. And I'll tell you what, if the Roadrunners are able to get within scoring distance again, just changes the tenor of this game. BYU's put up all the yards, but they went 3 and out earlier in this third quarter. UTSA had a field goal on their opening drive of the second half. Free play. Narcisse downfield. And it's broken up. Fourth down coming up, but actually no, probably third down penalty.
Well, smart for Narcisse to understand the situation, get the ball
Offside, number 58, defense, 5-yard penalty, still third down.
Recognizing the penalty and that you've got a free play, just unfortunately not able to connect on the outside. And again, the hard count in an empty stadium just becomes that much more accentuated.
So 3rd and 7 now becomes 3rd and 2 after the penalty, and they've got Narcisse under center. This may be quarterback run of some kind, quarterback power. Instead, Narcisse will throw. McCormick canceled by Willis. It almost seemed like they got too cute when they didn't have to.
Well, they got too cute, and unfortunately this ball hung in the air, and it took so long to get there because Narcisse wasn't able to throw it on a rope. You're going to look at the right side of your screen right here. He's got to throw this off of his back foot. Well, that allows Willis, 29, to come up and make the play, leverage the ball from the sideline inside. A lot of blue jerseys running to that football. Good defensive series that time for BYU.
Now Lucas Dean averaging 47 yards a punt entering play. He's had a couple of good kicks this afternoon. And another good punt. Milne, the fair catch at the 10, where the Cougars take over. Pressure in his first 3 games. Taylor McGregor, different story today.
For sure, and after that last 3 and out, when he got to the sideline, the message to him was, despite the pressure, they still want him to go through his progression. So look for him to do that in this next series, guys.
Yeah, and Taylor, he's done for the most part today a pretty good job of keeping his eyes downfield when he's been under duress. We've seen him make a couple of plays, dinking and dunking. I think what they're referencing is if you got the opportunity to get the ball downfield, you got to get from 1 to 2 to 3 quicker. I know it's not ideal, but that's what we want to see out of him.
Wilson flushed again on first down. He'll run and picks up a yard. It's amazing how he has remade his image and remade himself as a player in one off season. Zach Wilson telling us being healthy for the first time helped a lot. He worked on his arm strength. He said he focused a lot on throwing with the whole body, and he said some of his injuries in the past were because it was just using his arm, starting to use his hips and his bottom half a little more.
Yeah, you know, you get your accuracy and your power and your torque from your lower body. You know, accuracy is about footwork. It's from the feet up, not from the arm down. But this kid's one of those kids that can throw even when his feet aren't perfect. He just has an innate sense of it. But the plan from UTSA's standpoint on defense has been a strong one. Keep them guessing, keep them on their heels a little bit, and flush Zach Wilson to the side you want him to go to.
Big third down for BYU deep in their own zone. Cougars need the 20. Wilson gets rid of it quickly, and there is Dax Milne. You brought up the point that he is an exceptional route runner.
He is.
Every time the ball goes in his direction, it looks like he's 3-4 yards from the closest defender.
Yeah, there's nobody around him. Here he is just on the quick slant route, but everything is so precise. He's got great feet. He understands spacing and timing, and he snaps his head around every time he's coming out of the break, so he's always ready for the football.
He and Zach Wilson, roommates, played at rival high schools. Milne at Bingham, Wilson at Corner Canyon, which is now the preeminent power in the state of Utah. Used to be Bingham. Downfield, Gunnar Romney makes the catch. And if he got away from Tariq Woolen, it would have been a touchdown. But a gain of 52 nonetheless.
You're going to see the inside release there, and then he gets back on top, and now it's just a foot race. And this is a smart throw by Zach Wilson to lead him across the field. If he throws him up in vertical, this ball's probably overthrown, or it might be undercut by the defender by bringing him across the field. And he could have even done a little bit more, gave him a chance.
Wilson, who has 5 rushing touchdowns using his feet. And it's 1st and goal after a run of 13. Zach Wilson saying this season that he is making throws this year that he would not have even attempted in the past. As 96 Charles Wiley crunched over on the sideline. And now this deep quarterback run, you have to be aware if you're UTSA.
Absolutely. This is where they love it in the red area, some of the naked bootleg stuff, and they trust Zach Wilson as a runner.
Wilson with Algier in the backfield, and it's Algier. Came in averaging 8 yards a carry, close to that number today, nearing 80 yards rushing, 2nd and goal.
Well, this is where I think when we've said it throughout the broadcast today that BYU needs to lean a little bit more on the run game. And if you have an opportunity to impose your will, you just referenced 96. It's been a very active part of the defensive front. That's Charles Wiley for UTSA. He's not in the ballgame. And I would run the football where his void is and you know, impose your will if you're BYU on offense.
Powell lined up in the slot. There's the quarterback run, and Wilson with his 6th rushing touchdown of the season.
You called it, Anish. This is the area they love the quarterback run. Look how quick Zach Wilson is off of the token fake in there, and he knew what the read was going to be. Defensive end, 45 collapses down, 88. Ligon, the freshman linebacker, late to pursue, probably because his eyes took him where the back was. Zach Wilson does the rest.
BYU marches 90 yards in just 7 plays. The big connection, Wilson to Romney for 52 yards. And the numbers once again for Zach Wilson speak in the imperative. 19 out of 25, 259, 2 TDs. And Mel Kiper now has Wilson as the number 5 draft-eligible quarterback. Let's be honest, he was on nobody's draft board coming into the season.
No, I don't think he was on anybody's draft board. I do believe people were aware of him. A year ago, beating USC, beating Tennessee on the road in double overtime, I think it garnered some interest. You were waiting for him to be healthy, be confident, play successive games without, getting dinged up. And now NFL scouts and GMs and coaches are starting to see that. And he brings a lot of stuff to the table that you can't coach. And he does things up and above the X and O side of it.
Yeah, there's the story that's been well told now how during the offseason he would drive 10 hours each way from Provo to San Diego to work out with quarterback guru and former BYU quarterback John Beck. And Beck's got a pretty good list of clients: Dak Prescott, Matt Ryan, Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford. He connected with Drew Brees down there, has leaned on Brees for mentorship. He put in the work. He made himself this kind of player with what he did in the last 6-7 months.
Well, when your best players are your hardest workers, you've got a chance to be a really good football team. And clearly Zach Wilson is.
Nobody in college football has seen their stock rise more in the first month and a half than Zach Wilson. This is Dingle. Reversing field. Has the 20. And Magellan's all the way to the 35-yard line. Week 5 NFL Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. It starts with Countdown. Randy Moss will rank today's best college football catches, plus an inside look at how post-game jersey exchanges have evolved this season. I know you're a big soccer guy. That's where we used to see that in soccer.
Well, I'm still seeing flashbacks of that guy on the right there, Teddy Bruschi. He sacked me in college, and he played defensive end in college. He wasn't a linebacker. He was so short that when he would come off the edge, his pad level was so low he would barely come up to the waist of the offensive tackle. Nobody could block him. Leader of that Desert Swarm defense in the mid-90s.
Keenan Pili applying the pressure. Daniels. And no gain. And you brought this up earlier. You throw to the perimeter against BYU, they close so quickly.
Oh, yeah, there's no question. They run to the football. They leverage the ball from the outside in, which means...
What does that mean?
That means what you're doing is you want to force the ball back to the inside, because what's inside of you? All your buddies, your guys, all those blue jerseys flowing. So there's going to be other times where you're going to want to spill things to the outside, but BYU's just been so technically sound with their defense.
Now bringing pressure.
Whoa.
And what a throw! It's caught by Cephas. Narcisse standing in with the pressure coming.
Cephas makes a spectacular play. He almost runs the quarterback, though, out of bounds. Fortunately, Narcisse puts it in a spot right over the shoulder, and not only 1 foot, Anish, but 2 feet on a spectacular play down the sideline for UTSA.
Road runners inside the 35 of BYU. Narcisse to the ground and dives ahead to the 30, tackled by Peely.
I think anytime you have over-the-shoulder focus, and a lot of people don't realize that once that ball passes your face mask and hits your hands, you never actually see the football. You never see the ball. It's all hand-eye coordination.
3 quarters in the books. UTSA driving and certainly hanging around. Watching ESPN College Football, presented by Sling TV. Anish Shroff, Tom Luganbill here in our Charlotte studio. Taylor McGregor down on the field at Lavelle Edwards Stadium. UTSA, 35-point underdog. How have they kept this close?
Had a great defensive plan, and making the change at quarterbacks give them a chance in the passing game on offense.
That time it was Kafusi in the backfield getting in there. And Narcisse hit for a loss, so 3rd down, 9 to go. Zach Wilson, another strong game. He has accounted for all 3 of BYU's touchdowns, 2 through the air, 1 on the ground. And Narcisse has sparked this offense since replacing what appeared to be an injured Frank Harris late in the first half. Free play. And Franklin snatches it out of the air for a TD.
Anish, that is twice that we have seen.
Number 58, defense. That penalty is declined. Touchdown.
It's twice we have seen the hard count with no crowd in the stadium cost BYU. Now, both times Lowell Narcisse took a shot down the sideline, didn't connect on the first one at the latter part of the 3rd quarter, and look at the big guy right here. Jakari Franklin just goes up and elevates in a 50-50 ball, double coverage on a free play.
And UTSA has made it once again a 1-score game. Lowell Narcisse to Zakari Franklin, a sophomore who really emerged down the stretch last year as a go-to guy from Cedar Hill, Texas, one of the powerhouse schools in the state. And this is a SportsCenter top 10 worthy grab.
Just take your shot. Free play, no negatives. And you know what? By getting it up and high, you give yourself a chance to make a play. You got yourself an advantage athletically.
Lugs, you are our national recruiting analyst. Remind people the type of prospect Lowell Narcisse was coming out of high school.
You know, I really felt for the young man. You know, when you're a starter your freshman and sophomore year in high school, and you've been so impressive that you garner offers from all of the Power 5 schools across the country, and then you suffer an ACL injury your junior year. The senior year you come back, you suffer an ACL injury on your other knee, and it really altered the trajectory of his career. Could never quite get into the mix. Came in the same class with Miles Brennan at LSU. We all know what took place last 2 years with LSU and Joe Burrow, but he's found a home here, and I think they need to ride him because he's made good decisions, he's made quality throws, and he's a good runner.
Down to Taylor.
I've been wandering both sidelines, and there is no doubt all day UTSA has had more energy. Their message after that last score is, hey, BYU hasn't been in a close game all year. We've got this. We're in this. And the energy down here is felt by everyone on the sideline, guys.
I was hoping Taylor would say the 2 magic words that we have not heard today. Pilla Killers.
We'll go right back to her. She can tell you right now. We got a couple seconds.
Taylor, have you seen the Pilla Killers getting the energy up on that UTSA sideline?
I have seen the Pilla Killers. Yeah, with the towels rallying, something that Jeff Traylor and his staff brought to this program is bringing the 5 pillars to the games every single day. It's something that throughout the week of practice, they'll highlight guys who are exemplifying those and make sure that on the sideline, they're bringing that energy. And it certainly felt, watch for some of the guys on the sidelines to rally with the towels. I've seen it a lot, especially after that last score.
A 5-yard run by Algier. There you see the pillars that are cultural touchstones for UTSA, and as Taylor alluded to, they designate a group of players to be the pillar killers on the sideline, and they supply the juice during the games, especially now. Algier lost it, but Wilson able to cover it up, and it's 3rd down. The pendulum is swung toward the boys from San Antonio, and if BYU doesn't convert here, boy, UTSA will get the ball with a chance to tie.
No question. Pressure's on this BYU offense. A miscommunication there on 2nd down between Tyler Algier and Zach Wilson on the mesh point. See Gunnar Romney there, who's been a huge part of this offense today, particularly down the field. Let's see if Zach Wilson looks his way.
Romney and Milne have been the 2 go-to guys in the passing game today and all season. Wilson has time. Dancing on the run, low throw for Algier. It's incomplete. And Rico will come on to punt. UTSA is going to get the ball with a chance to tie.
You know, for the first time all year long, we're starting to see a little level of frustration. Things have become almost to some degree effortless for BYU the first 3 weeks. Now, a little tougher sledding.
Prior to today, Zach Wilson had not attempted a 4th quarter pass.
How about that? Well, not only that, and we got to revisit. You come into the day with 11 touchdowns total, and you only had 11 incompletions in 3 weeks. And he still had a remarkable day today, but UTSA deserves a lot of credit on defense.
Penalty marker is down. It rolls out of bounds at the 33. Let's see if the Yalta convention yields a verdict.
There is no foul for illegal substitution. The guy that stepped off the field was the 11th guy.
Scott Campbell, who does not miss chest and arms day. Lowell Narcisse to Zachary Franklin. Oh, we got a ball game in Provo.
BYU made on defense on the play that led to the touchdown is they were in a 2-safety look. Now they've also got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They decided to bring pressure. Coach Tuiaki, the defensive coordinator, he says every time we do this, we are weighing risk, and the risk did not pay off. As you see the play down the sideline that led to the touchdown, the wide receiver makes the throw, makes the route. Lowell Narcisse makes the throw, and the next thing you know, UTSA is in the end zone. I don't think you'll see BYU to get into much more of that the rest of the quarter.
Yeah, this is a straight 4-man pressure, but it's a run play, so that's for naught. Sincere McCormick, a gain of a couple. He's been held in check. He came in as the nation's leading rusher. Lowell Narcisse came in late in the first half for an injured Frank Harris. Harris was coming off an injury. And Narcisse living up to his billing years ago as an ESPN 300 prospect who went to LSU. And he finds Cephas along the sideline. And that looks to be right near the 1st down marker, just a little shy, 3rd down.
So yeah, once again, you know, that was a 3-deep look for BYU on defense, which gives you the out-breaking routes, is which they took right there. Now you can use the big body to see if he can convert.
Oh, he can't. BYU's defense got in there. Isaiah Kafusi, the first one in. We've called his name a lot.
Yeah, I think if you're going to run that play and you're going to do it, you can't get out wide the way Lowell Narcisse did. I know you've got the big guy, number 95, Tonga, in there. Well, let's see what they dial up here.
Go for it here. It looks like they will. Maybe this could be another hard count, which has worked. BYU has jumped on the hard count a few times today, and the touchdown was one of those plays, a free play for UTSA. Now they'll go for it. Narcisse has an opening, first down, rumbling across midfield. Finally brought down by Batty at the 45.
Well, he is a load. I like that play call a lot better than I like the third down call, because you got an extra body in your running back there in the backfield, and Sincere McCormick, he's your lead blocker, so you've got a numbers advantage in the run game. And what a, number one, gutsy call with a lot of time left on this clock. Pendulum starting to swing over to UTSA's sideline.
McCormick up the gut. Kafusi again on the stop, flag down.
I think they're going to get UTSA with a hold on their offensive line.
Holding, number 4, offense, 10-yard penalty from the previous spot, still first down.
Watson, the tight end, and that offensive line for UTSA has shown to be pretty good, and they've held up well against a strong BYU three-man front.
Yeah, and they finally feel good about their offensive tackle position, and Mekhi Hart, Josh Otis, both spending time there. Hart's now finally back in the mix. And then Maka, the big center. Coach Jeff Traylor thought he had his best performance a week ago, and so far against big number 95, Tonga, Kyrus Tonga for BYU, he's had a good day.
Here's the blitz. Narcisse completes. It's Watson, and dropped back at midfield.
Have you noticed that Watson and Narcisse look like the same guy if they changed jerseys?
Leroy Watson loves to play the piano, will tickle the ivories at his local church. The Roadrunners only been around as a football program for 10 years. They've never beaten a ranked team. Jeff Traylor, first-year head coach, taking over a team with a pandemic in the background. Started 3-0. Could have won last week if they had a healthy starting quarterback, as Daniels bounds off Fanua and gets a couple 3rd and long. And now on the road against a BYU team that had blowtorched everybody. Win or lose, Jeff Traylor in season 1 is the guy at UTSA, and if you're that administration and you've watched this team, given how hard it's been for everybody, especially a first-year head coach, you nailed it.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're gaining more and more confidence.
Four-man rush on 3rd and 11. Narcisse in trouble and sacked. Brought down by Gabe Summers, the sophomore from Dallas.
This, Anish, is what BYU's been able to do all year long. They've been able to create pressure with 3- and 4-man rushes without having to bring a 5th rusher. And that's just Summers taking care of business at the point of attack, collapsing the pocket nowhere for Lowell Narcisse to go either with his legs or his arm.
BYU really likes its depth up front. You got Tonga and Daw, El Bakri, Batty, Summers, Fauatea. The Australian Lucas Dean to kick it away. And that one goes into the end zone for a touchback. BYU caught a break. Cougars nurse a 1-score lead.
Football is presented by Sling TV, the smart choice for live TV.
Cosmo the Daredevil rollerblading down the ramp. But Tom Luganbill, we watched this during the break, and you were not impressed.
I love it. I love Cosmo. I love the stunts, but I saw very, very distinctly and clearly that we were told he was going to go down the steps in his rollerblades. That was a ramp.
Do you realize how dangerous that is?
I do, but let me tell you something. You got to go heavy or go home.
There's a human being underneath.
He's got padding in that head.
Tough critic. BYU with the ball, 15th ranked team in the country. Highest AP ranking since 2009. Romney got a good block from Katoa, and then blown up by Rashad Wisdom, who's back in the game after serving a first-half suspension for targeting last week.
Yikes. Wisdom just lowering the boom. Look at this angle inside out. A tremendous run fit by big number 0 there. And again, had to miss the first half due to targeting from a week ago. And let BYU know he wasn't too happy about it.
Boy, that was close to almost another targeting.
Yeah.
Using the crown of the helmet. Doesn't matter if a player's defenseless or not.
Right.
2nd and 8 after a 2-yard gain. Wilson. And that's Dax Milne, who's, again, always wide open.
He's always wide open. Yeah, there's never anybody around him. And again, it's because of his ability to run routes, understand coverage, how to leverage coverage and attack it.
A gain of 10. Romney on the sideline getting looked at after taking that big hit from Wisdom. You see guys wearing 1-2-0, 2-1-0 really for UTSA. Those are the tough guys. Part of the triangle of toughness. Powell, and he is blown up. And now the defender is down. That's Wisdom again. Rashad Wisdom was the team's top defensive back, emerged as a team leader just as a sophomore, and you'll notice notice on the UTSA helmets, it says Bryce Strong. That's for Rashad Wisdom's brother.
Completed pass for 2nd down. The previous play is under further review.
Yeah, they're going to look at that last play for targeting. But I want to get back to Bryce Strong real quick. That's Rashad Wisdom's younger brother who died of cancer in July at the age of 17, and he's become a rallying cry for this team, for this program. Wisdom's a guy they look up to.
Yeah.
All the guys that wear 210, that's the San Antonio area code.
Right.
The single-digit jerseys mean a whole lot. Those are valuable real estate on this team, especially 210. And does this look like targeting? You lead with the crown of the helmet. That is a defenseless player. And again, if you lead with the crown of the helmet, it doesn't matter where you hit the player. It does not have to be above the neck or the
Correct.
shoulders. And that is forcible contact. So Wisdom,
I mean, he looks like a missile. Now listen, there's a difference between hitting and tackling.
Yeah.
It's very clear Rashad Wisdom is a hitter. That was a poor tackle. Not only did he lead with his head, but he ducked his head, which is extremely dangerous to him. Not as much to the person he's hitting, but for his own safety.
it's also an indicator for the officials. You lower your head like that, 99.9% of the time you're coming out of the game for targeting.
No question.
And Wisdom has to know his value to his team. Hey, this is 2 weeks in a row.
Listen, I love him sending the message of toughness and physicality. He epitomizes that, but he hurt himself right there because of poor technique and wanted to take the knockout shot.
It was determined there was a personal foul, targeting, number 0, defense. That 15-yard penalty will be added to the end of the run, automatic, first down.
And again,
number 0 has been disqualified.
Jeff Traylor doesn't like it, but that's the right call. That's textbook targeting. And Wisdom, who was suspended for the first half, now out of the game with 7:11 to go. And he's going to miss the first half of the next game.
Yeah, and he's hurting his football team here.
Now, this was last week against UAB. Same kind of deal.
It's the same thing. And again, this is about safety, and not just the safety of the player that you are striking, your own safety.
And I know fans may be saying, well, he didn't get him above the shoulders. If you lead with the crown of the helmet, it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter if the opposing player is defenseless or not. Make forcible contact with the crown of the helmet. That's going to be targeting. And you can see Harris and Peters trying to calm him down. New rule this year, players do not have to leave the field anymore. They can still be on the sideline once they're ejected for targeting. Lapina Katoa's had a quiet day. And eats some turf there as he gets right back to the line of scrimmage, 2nd and 10.
Katoa fumbled that football and landed on it. I think the UTSA defense saw the ball come out and couldn't find where it was at all along under Katoa.
And Lugs, this is a big momentum shift. You lose a guy like Wisdom, and you got a one-score game. This takes the air out of your sails if you're UTSA.
It absolutely does, but it doesn't take the effort out of your defense. This defense has played so good today and really made BYU earn it.
Cougars milking a little more clock. Katoa, not much there as we check in with Kevin.
And it is time for our Dr. Pepper Fansville studio update. Tennessee and Georgia meeting as AP top 15 teams for the first time since 2006. Stetson Bennett to Kyrus Jackson. Tennessee riding the longest current win streak among SEC teams, but it's in danger right now.
Are you worried about Georgia?
With each quarter they play, I'm getting less and less worried. Listen, and I don't think Stetson Bennett has to wear an S on his chest. I think he has to do what's asked of him, make the plays that are there to be made. They're really good at the players around him, and defensively, they're a really good football team.
There's pressure. Wilson off his back foot, wants Milne. Who else? A young man who says, I play for my mom. That's my why. He's as tough as nails. He gets that from his mother, who beat stage 4 cancer.
Just a flick of the wrist, throws it to the outside back shoulder. You can't defend it. Milne's got the awareness to find the football, and again, Zach Wilson, the ability to just kind of alter the arm angle, throw some touch under there, throw it to the backside.
He has tied a career high with 7 catches, over 100 yards receiving. On the reverse, this is Milne. And we may get a hold to bring this back.
That was a lot of work to gain 1 yard.
There are fouls by both teams. Offside, number 9, defense. Personal foul, illegal blindside block, number 13, offense. Those fouls will offset. Replay, first down.
Mason Wake, the guilty party for BYU. Clarence Hicks for UTSA. We'll do it again. 1st and 10. Ball inside the Road Runner 30. Zach Wilson has accounted for all 3 BYU touchdowns, 2 with his arm, 1 with his legs. Another impressive afternoon by the junior QB. To the air, Wilson is hit and nearly intercepted. Tyler Monke almost had it, 2nd and 10.
This is the first true risk that was a bad decision I've seen from Zach Wilson today. Now, he ends up getting hit as he's throwing, so you don't have the opportunity for that ball to finish, but he was clearly throwing that into a pile of white jerseys. And unfortunately, if 38 doesn't have a cast on his hand, he probably intercepts that football.
Algier, another strong finish to his run, sets up 3rd and 2, and he's close to 100 yards rushing. Injured player Kelechi Nwachukwu, one of the safeties, and remember, UTSA thin at safety.
I'm out on the field.
No Harris, no Wisdom, the 2 starters. Now Nwachukwu down. But pocket protection brought to you by Nationwide. They still have not given up a sack with Zach Wilson in the game.
Yeah, you know, you had the delayed rusher, but that's the guy that the quarterback got to account for. Everything else is clean. Slide protect here, and up and over the top for Zach Wilson, who, you know, the hallmark of his game is accuracy, vision of the field, and getting the ball out. And he has done that very, very well here today.
All right, what happens now here on 3rd and 2?
You run it.
They give it to the fullback. And how about Wake dragging tacklers and bulldozes all the way to the 5-yard line, and that might be coming back due to a flag.
Holding, number 63, offense, 10-yard penalty from the previous spot, still first down.
Tuku Afu starting at center for the injured James Empey, and Mason Wake has to take that long walk back to the huddle. Now, we've seen that a couple of times from him this year.
We've seen it. It seems like we've seen it every week from a variety of teams. Now, it used to be in the old days, it was keep your feet on the ground. Now everybody's elevating.
So 3rd and 2 now becomes 3rd and 12. And remember, BYU starting kicker Jake Oldroyd not available today. He's hurt. And he can hit it from 55. Wilson tosses to Algier. Full head of steam. Here he comes. And Tyler Algier all the way down to the 12.
This has been the answer for BYU all day when they've seen that multiple look front. They're going to go to run. They check to speed option, and they're going to option off the unblocked defender on the edge right there. And behind it, you've got UTSA playing man-to-man defense. There's nobody seeing the football because they're all responsible for the perimeter players on offense for BYU.
Algier right on his season average of 8 yards a carry. 109 on the ground today. Former walk-on who played linebacker last year when his team needed him there. Algier again, and Hicks drops him after a short gain. And now Clarence Hicks slow to get up. Down here again, quarterback run in play for BYU. Wilson had a rushing touchdown earlier.
Well, with this clock dwindling, that 3rd and 12 conversion might have been the nail in the coffin. And if you're BYU, I think every down is a run down right now. Because you come away with 3, now you've put UTSA in a 2-possession game.
UTSA with all 3 of its timeouts. Katoa, tornadoes to the 6th, 3rd down. At what point does UTSA start using timeouts?
Timeout. UTSA.
Oh, there's one.
There you go.
First down, 30 seconds. Correction, timeout on the field.
We'll step aside as well. 2:23 left in regulation. BYU looking to go to 4-0.
Number 1 Clemson and number 2 Alabama. Tonight in prime time on ESPN and ABC.
Fun doubleheader tonight. How about BYU? They took over with 8:29 on the clock. They've used up more than 6 minutes. Algier into the end zone, a little punctuation. Now that's how you finish off the game. Eat up more than 6 minutes of clock and just take the air out of your opponent.
And the old offensive lineman, the old line coach, Jeff Grimes, the offensive coordinator, when it came down to it, they're going to hand that ball off. They're going to run. They're going to lean on that offensive line and run that clock out.
A 12-play, 80-yard drive. That took up 6 minutes and 11 seconds. And you go back. Where did this game turn a little bit? Rashad Wisdom getting ejected for targeting. Where's 0? One of the more prominent jerseys on this team. 2-1-0, the San Antonio area code. Justin Smith, again, we told you, starting in place of Oldroyd. Misses the PAT. Still a 2-score game. How about the game Algier's had? 116 and now a touchdown.
Again, not flashy, physical and forward.
So what to make of BYU? Because the knock on the Cougars through 3 games, and really the only knock you can have is the schedule.
Sure.
People will look at UTSA and say, you let this team hang around late into the 4th quarter. Watching this game, UTSA looks, I think, better than what many of us expected.
Well, I think UTSA is better than people have given them credit for. Jeff Traylor and his staff have done a nice job in year 1. You and I have seen SMU. We've seen Memphis. Okay. Going to see Tulsa next week.
And Cincinnati.
But I would put this BYU team, because of the quarterback, up against any of those teams. I mean, he's playing lights out. And today was good for them. To not have it be easy, to not have everything go their way, to kind of have to fight and scrap and maybe dig deep a little bit. That hasn't been the case the first 3 weeks, and things can get away from you. You can lack focus. You can all of a sudden get a little bit complacent, think it's going to be easy every snap, and today it wasn't.
BYU is a group of 5 school that does not play in a conference, so they are not awarded a New Year's Six berth if they're the highest ranked group of 5 team, because that goes to the highest ranked group of 5 champion.
But they can be invited.
As an at-large,
correct,
they can get a New Year's Six invite.
See, I don't like that. I really don't. I know that they are not a quote-unquote group of 5 team. They're a non-power 5 team. They look at themselves as a group of 5 team. When you talk to
I think they look at themselves as a power 5 team, to be honest with you.
Well, but when you hear them talk about scheduling and things of that nature, we played 4 power 5 teams a year ago. That takes its toll. Or we've played 5 power 5 teams. It takes its toll. It does. You can ask Kyle Whittingham at Utah the transition and the time that it took. Ask Gary Patterson at TCU. The transition and the time it took for TCU in the Big 12. It wasn't easy those first few years.
Narcisse with a good throw to Franklin. 8 Eastern, UFC Fight Night from Fight Island in Abu Dhabi. Marlon Moraes squares off with the number 4 ranked Corey Sandhagen in the main event. Independence, though, this year has been a boon for BYU. As of right now, the only team out west playing football. And their entire schedule was obliterated. They've had to schedule on the fly. They're still scheduling as we speak.
Absolutely. The AD, Tom Homo, did a great job. And as you referenced, if something happens in the Pac-12 down the line in the latter part of the season and they had some scheduling issues, you could always book a Pac-12 team, which would beef up the schedule.
Another nice throw by Narcisse. The one area where they've benefited early in the year, too, is eye test.
Yes.
A lot of national folks have seen BYU because of the paucity of games.
No doubt. And those windows are important.
And that usually is a strike against non-power 5 teams.
Right.
Getting away from Batty, Narcisse. And it's caught in the end zone by Dingle for a touchdown. Hang on. UTSA not going away. They're an onside kick recovery from having a chance here.
Well, I think they found themselves a quarterback. He certainly gave them a spark, made a lot of big throws, made a couple of necessary runs to convert third down, and just such a big guy to bring down. He makes this throw, crosses body on the move, and BYU just loses sight in coverage because their eyes are forward, and they're dealing with the quarterback potentially becoming a runner.
So Duplessis for the PAT to make it 27-20. And boy, how big is that missed extra point now if UTSA recovers this onside kick? Now before, the Roadrunners would have needed a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. Now, touchdown and kick ties. Obviously got to get the kick first. What's the key here when you're onside kicking?
Depends on the style. Are you going to be the one hop right off the tee, or are you going to be the second hop downfield?
Down to Taylor.
This BYU offense seemed a little bit checked out, and after that score, they stood up and literally said, "What is happening, you guys? We have to stay focused until the end of the game."
Yeah, you got to finish. Coaches Taylor preach it all the time, and again, this situation that's happening right now, regardless of the outcome of the game, BYU hasn't had to do much of this in the first 3 weeks, and these are things you can practice ad nauseum, but until you get in the live struggle, and you're dealing with 2-minute or 4-minute, or you're dealing with an onside kick scenario, you don't know what your kids are going to do. You think you know what they're going to do.
They have 2 kickers on the field, Duplessis and Everett Ornstein.
Look at the way he's placed this ball. No tee, and they're going to squib it. Right. Oh, now we're going to go off to the right a little bit.
The ball came off the tee.
No, he placed the ball off the tee. If you look at how he set the ball, and the officials are going out there, they're going to make him set this on a tee.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he was going to come up and he was going to kick one of the corners to get the ball to spin rapidly and spin forward. Zebras having none of it. So now they're going to alter with the wind. That doesn't help you. See, this seriously, with the wind being what it is, the ball needs to be set a certain way on onside kicks that's different than your normal kickoff. And if you can't get it the way you need it, right now the kicker's looking to the sideline, looking for some help from his coach.
The ball has to travel 10 yards. That is the minimum it has to travel before UTSA can touch it.
No. Is the holder actually going to put his finger on the ball?
BYU with its hands team out there. Bouncing ball, it's loose. The Cougars say they have it. Now the kick worked out to perfection. Were the Road Runners able to recover it? You got the bounce you wanted, but it's BYU football.
You had a chance.
Keenan Peely out of the pile.
Yeah, you see number 5 for BYU there. He goes to secure the ball, but he doesn't attack the ball.
Dax Milne, it's the only thing he's done wrong today.
Yeah, really. It really is. If he goes, if they would have been able to catch this thing in stride, it clearly went 10 yards. Man.
UTSA has a couple of timeouts, 1:15 to go. And BYU looking at its first 4-0 start since 2014. Algiers had a big game. Close to 120 yards rushing now. ESPN's Football Power Index only gives Ohio State, which hasn't played yet, a greater chance of going undefeated this season. BYU, they've got a 10-game schedule. They are looking to add a couple of more slots to try to get to 12. Clemson at 28%, big game tonight against Miami. Ohio State only playing a 9-game schedule, all conference games.
Look at Oregon there. I mean, the FPI really believes in the Ducks. You're talking about a team that you haven't seen their quarterback yet.
Or they don't believe in the rest of the Pac-12.
Well, that's true, but the rest of the Pac-12, SC, Arizona State, they've got some quarterbacks.
Tyler Algier. 119 yards on the ground. Almost double UTSA, which came in with the nation's leading rusher in Sincere McCormick. Algier watches a lot of video of Marshawn Lynch and Adrian Peterson. You watch him run, not a lot of finesse to his game.
No, there's not a lot of finesse, and you know what? It's almost like they embrace it.
Yeah.
We're going to bloody your nose. We're going to run downhill. We're not going to be flashy. We're probably not going to win a bunch of foot races at the second level. They just do what they do, and they are what they are.
UTSA uses its final timeout, so BYU a couple of kneel downs away. Well, a kneel down away, and that'll bring you to about, what, 20 seconds or so?
I'm impressed with Jeff Traylor and his football team. His staff had this team well prepared. His team played well. Again, this is a team that won, what, 3 or 4 games a year ago.
4 games.
4 games, and you make a change in a year where you don't get to know your football team. You don't go through your normal off-season program and your summer program. I think they've got a foundation to build on here. You're in the state of Texas. You have access to players with a coach and a coaching staff that's very familiar with the landscape.
We're watching 2 teams outside the Power 5 who are 2 of the better stories in college football. The resurgence of BYU. You talk to, Algier nearly lost it. And able to cover it up, and all of Cougar Nation held its breath, and now they can take this down to less than 20 seconds. But BYU, if they get to 4-0, obviously won't really be tested. Maybe Houston next week, who, despite the long layoff and some sloppiness, beat Tulane the other night. But they've got Boise State. That's going to be the big game on their schedule.
Yeah.
UTSA is going to be a tough out in Conference USA. You brought it up earlier against UAB, which has been the team in that league.
Yeah.
If they had Lowell Narcisse the entire game or a healthy quarterback, they might win that game.
Yeah, I really felt like they played good enough to win. They just didn't have an answer at quarterback when Josh Adkins went down, who is, by the way, the best passer on this UTSA ball club. And I think what we've seen from Lowell Narcisse.
Put 1 minute, 1 second on the game clock, reset the play clock to 40 seconds, and we'll start it on my signal.
Getting the clock back in order here in our final minute. Kalani Sitake there asking the officials for an explanation.
Well, it's not 150, it's 101.
Yeah.
And again, with that 40-second play clock, BYU likely will let this run down, take the delay, and kick it away. So UTSA will get the ball back. No timeouts. And Jeff Traylor, the old high school football coach, 15 years in Texas, won some state championships. High school coaches tend to have annexation of Puerto Rico type plays buried in the back of their playbook.
Well, that, and I'll tell you what they also have got. They've got relationships within the state when you're building a program like they're trying to do here for the long term. Those relationships matter.
Delay game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
If you're UTSA now, do you put everybody on the line of scrimmage and try to block this, or do you have a guy back deep?
Why not? Think about it. I think you can still have a guy back deep and try and come after it. You look at the field position here. I can promise you BYU's in punt safe. Look at those big guys as up backs.
They're coming after Rico. He just gets it off. Rico goes down. That's 2 weeks in a row now for UTSA, where a roughing the kicker penalty cost them a chance at having a chance at the end of the game.
Yeah, and just frustration. You try to come after it.
Roughing the kicker, number 10, defense, 15-yard penalty from the previous spot, automatic, 1st down.
Don't you always kind of get the sense that you're trying to come after? One of two things is going to happen. You're either going to block it or you're not, and you're going to get the penalty. There's rarely anything in between. And again, that's why that's a legit roughing of the punter right there. But it's all, if you look at the angle, you're always going to rough the punter when you're not going for the tip of the ball off the toe.
Rico having himself a laugh. UTSA will not get the ball back. BYU will take a knee and head to 4-0 for the first time since 2014. This was not the same BYU team we saw the first 3 weeks, but knowing what we know about Kalani Sitake and this staff, there's a teaching moment to be had in the week to come.
There's no doubt for both teams.
Now the Roadrunners, better than advertised. They gave BYU all they could handle, made this a 4-quarter game despite being a 5-touchdown underdog. But the Cougars prevail at home. Houston next. BYU still unbeaten, 4-0. Best start in 6 years. For Tom Luganbill and Taylor McGregor and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Anish Shroff. Taylor says farewell from Provo. We say farewell from Charlotte. BYU victorious. To the studio now, and Kevin Connors.
All right, Anish, and we say hello from Bristol, Connecticut.